what did I say? I thought you were a philosopher. What sum up your philosophy for me?
Well, I want to begin by welcoming you to Biglerville here in Harold, and it's a pleasure to meet you guys. And we're at Mama's Pizza in Biglerville, located at 99 South Main Street, Biglerville, Pennsylvania, with the zip code 17307. This is where we ended up after moving from Sicily to America. After two moves from New York to Lancaster and then to here. In 1981, we opened up this pizza shop. Let's see if I can get Claudia's attention here, which is my brother who took over in 2008 from me. And today happens to be my 50th birthday. People recognize that I turned 50. However, I usually don't celebrate my birthdays because I actually celebrate the conception, which was 9 months prior to that date.
You're one of those guys.
Absolutely. I was alive. And so, in theory, I'm 58 and 9 months today. However, there is the birth of something that took place the 21st of July, 1973. We will talk more in depth about that when we get to my office. Back here so we can get him. What are you thinking about eating, Harold?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
It's all good.
All right.
I'm gonna give me a stromboli.
You want a small stromboli?
Yeah, but I like the.
Whatever you want on it.
I like the onion, ham, salami, mozzarella, cheese, and sauce.
Oh, that's good.
Then they got the meat lover one, which that kind of looks good. I'll probably go with the meat lover one. That's small. Yeah, you don't have the cow salt. That'll work. So what you want? You want anything else, Rob?
Nope.
You sure?
Yeah.
We're the same thing.
It's gonna be big. It's gonna be good size.
Yeah. You got good meatballs here.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
Good.
Maybe I get a little marinara on the side.
That comes with it.
That comes with it.
I'm a dunker.
Yeah,
I
me
dunk,
too.
That's
man.
awesome.
I dunk everything in everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right here. I'm gonna place the order. Oh, there he comes. Thank you. We'll place it right. Va un segundo que te dijimos que ponemos.
Really?
We're alive. Come put your face in front of this camera. We're gonna place the order.
What would you like today?
Let's get little brother on camera.
Little brother on
You
camera.
want me to get out of the way?
No, you're not.
Harold, you're part of the scenery.
All right.
We have a small calzone for Rob.
Okay.
We have a small meat lovers bowlie for Harold.
Wonderful.
You got side of meatballs?
I can put the meatballs inside of it. I can dice it up.
It was a side that we're
Oh, that's
doing.
not
Yeah.
Yep. So I put some sauce on it, some mozzarella cheese. I got you.
Grazie.
Prego, prego.
And,
Now, without looking to insult anybody, because I'm like a wuss. The marinara is not spicy, right? You don't put
Oh,
red pepper or
no.
anything in
No.
it. Good.
Marinara is homemade.
Neutral, has to be neutral.
Yeah.
And, what's up, buddy? You got panini?
Yeah.
What kind of your the usual?
I mean, we have the Southwest panini. That's good. We have the turkey pesto. We have the cheeseburger, the Italian, the ham and cheese. We have the chicken pesto.
I'll take that. Chicken pesto
Chicken pesto?
panini. Thank you. With the
We got the
fries.
world famous Monteleone brothers here, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Boom.
I'll get this ready for you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
And the next generation.
Next generation. And whenever you're ready for drinks, go up there. He'll give you a cup, and there's a soda fountain. Help yourself. Okay?
Oh, thank you.
Excellent. So lunch is ordered. All right.
Luca, I dig you, man.
He's got that eye. See
I'll
that?
go outside
see
and
that? See that view?
It's cigarette.
Yeah, go ahead. Enjoy.
I'll go out and have a cigarette. You talk to him. You're good.
Sure, man.
You're among family.
So what did you just say, that it was the birth of, you went through the 9 months and everything, but it is the birth of what today?
So today there was two births because what I intend to do is, of course, as any child, when they first get here and they're born, they're clueless of what's going on, and so they're born into a religion, into a culture, into a family, and then they end up speaking that language and they follow, and so on and so forth. In my case, which I believe makes the difference, and is rare, as I witness throughout the world of friends, family members, customers, I realize how unique and different my perception is through transformation. And so what I intend to do is now, which I don't know if it's ever been accomplished or not before, is as I tell you the story for the first time, I like to at the same time fill in the missing blank of what I've learned and actually explain to you what took place now that I have the knowledge, and while at the same time challenge you and anyone that's watching to prove me wrong. That make sense?
It does. So just to roll it back and
Yes,
then
sir.
we'll pick it up again. Tell the camera, and you're talking to me, but tell me your name and tell me what you do.
Absolutely. So the name that I was given is Giuseppe Monteleone, and most people recognize me as my name is called Giuseppe Monteleone. But I came to the realization that I am not my name, obviously. When people say, "Are you Giuseppe Monteleone?" most people say yes, but that's not true. And so, in time, I created a name for myself where I can actually be truthfully answering when someone asks, "What is your name?" And I created the name of Adesso, which in Italian means now. And it's Adesso. So now I can truthfully say, when you ask, "What is your name?" My name is Adesso, it's mine. I created it, and it also is a message. It means now. It is a state of mind. It is a lifestyle. It is a message. And since that creation, for example, just not too long ago, in March, because of Adesso becoming into existence, I was able to gather 19 family members. They all closed their pizza shop for 1 week and we went on a cruise to celebrate my wife's 50th birthday. She is a couple months older than me. And under normal circumstances, well, of course, obviously I'm technically 50 years old, I was never able to put that together. But because of the message, and because of example, as to you can't afford to put it on for later, especially when unfortunately we have in our family, when my father passed away at the tender age of 53 years old, and not too long ago, my sister passed away at 43 years old. So that is a reminder that we cannot put things off, for a later date. So if it's possible, you're to, like what's about to happen right now, my mom is walking through the door, I'm going to invite her earlier just to capture her.
What?
That's right.
Wow.
So this is now, it took place now.
Adesso.
Adesso. Hey. So I'll introduce you to my mom, Rob,
Mama.
Christina, Mama.
Nice to meet you.
So she will be 70 this year, right?
Wow.
Yeah, because we're always 20 years apart.
Mama mind being on the camera for
No,
a minute?
absolutely not. I already decided for her.
I don't want to.
Oh,
see?
you're a movie star. So that's part of the message of
Giuseppe's telling his story of life.
That's right. And Luca is my first spectator.
Yeah. I met Luca. He's a great kid.
That's right.
There you are.
That's guardo.
I have two boys.
Do you?
Yeah. One just turned 23 last week, and the other is 20.
Ma per fare la cortesia, ma pigli un bicchiere rosso e non è root beer, non ti che gli ghiaccio il root beer. Grazie. That is wonderful, Rob. So, yes. So, please ask all questions possible.
Well, that was, so how would you describe yourself? People say, Adesso, or Giuseppe, what do you do?
So what I do full time is I'm a truth seeker, regardless where it takes me. And I go where no one dares to go to find that. As a matter of fact, I've been out of the country several times. I've traveled to Panama, Mexico, some seminars that at the time was illegal to learn this information here. For some reason, why would that be? I've been in Greece, and as far as what's recognized as a career, profession, that's also changed throughout the years. I believe I was always an entrepreneur. It's in the blood. And how it all started, interesting story. Thank you so much. When you guys get thirsty, please. There'll be cups for you, or Harold can get it for you.
You want something? Rob, you want something?
Yeah, when the food
Grazie.
comes, I'll get something.
Okay.
So my entrepreneurship, as I look back, as it all started, it was in this very pizza shop. I was, I believe, around 8 years old. And we didn't grow up very wealthy. So coming from Sicily, we never went hungry. There was always food on the table. But I never remember luxury or anything like that. So money was a little tight. It always was up until mom and dad paid off Giuseppe and then became the owners, and then things started to change. So at 8 years old, I had to become very creative as to what my toys were, how I could play, and so on and so forth. There was a friend of mine right across the street beside what's now 7-Eleven was a high store. And beside it, it's still there, there's a log cabin, it used to be called Cabin Treasures. And there was a little store that had a couple video games there, recorders and players also. There was a student, a friend of mine, that had a banana seat bicycle. And right after school, he would park it right on the sidewalk, go play his games. And I went there. I would ask him, say, hey, since you're playing your game, you mind if I take a spin on your bike? He said, yeah, go ahead. So I began to take rides from across the street to here, I had a bike, which no way I could have done. And this went on for, who knows, I don't know, a couple of weeks or so. But one day I must have got him on a bad day or something, so I went there and I asked him, I said, Jason, his name was Jason, can I ride your bike? He goes, why don't you just buy the thing? And I'm like, well, I didn't know that was an option. Well, since you mentioned it, how much is it? He goes, give me $6. I've never seen $6 in my life altogether like that. I haven't. At the time, my grandmother and my grandfather from my father's side was here visiting from Sicily. And so they were here in the kitchen part. I come in, well, I was about his age, a little bit older. I come into that door, my dad is busy as usual making pizzas, and I'm excited. I won the lottery here. I just don't have the money. I say, Papa, I got an opportunity. That bike I ride across the street? I just need $6 to buy it. And my dad is he's so focused on his work, He says, get out of here. You're not gonna get no bike, whatever. So he kind of. It hurt a little bit. I'm like, well, then where can I go? And so I go outside and I'm all
Down in the mouth.
down as if my cat died. Then I get the bike and start walking her across. I don't even know how to ride it anymore. As I get the bike, Nonno Peppino, grandfather, walks out and says, Giuseppe. I'm like, oh no, now what did I do? He says, Venica, which means come here. And he pulls out a 5 and a 1. You heard the whole conversation. He said, here, give it to your friend, get the bike. I said, no. I could never do that. I'll get in trouble. And then my mom goes behind my grandpa and says, gives me it's okay. Now I got mixed emotions. Now I don't want it anymore. I don't know what to do. But anyway, at the end, I get the $6. I walk across the street. I go to Jason and say, here, it's my bike now. And don't you ask me to take rides on it. Anyway, I take my bike. I bring it here. I had it for a couple of days. A couple of days later, somehow in school, I found a student that gave me $10 and a 10-speed bicycle. Okay, now that I go back and revisit what took place, I didn't know what was going on at the time. But there's the indication that sometimes it's in the blood. Nobody told me this. But a week later, I have a BMX, a 10-speed, and $30 in my pocket. Within a short period of time, I ended up with $50 or $60 in my pocket and 4 bikes. 1 was for parts, 3 were operational. I'm like, at the time I wasn't realizing the gains. And that was the beginning of my experience with $6 from my grandfather. And from that, it became toys, instruments, later cars, motorcycles, then apartments. And it just kept going. It was never taught to me, and I learned this thing just hands-on, just trying to do that. You know. So
That's a great story.
yes, that's how it started. I narrated it back, and a mam na. Médicamente, je cheguei à introduction. And so yes, and
Was Claudio also born in Sicily?
he was born here. So I only had 2 sisters at the time, which we came all together from Sicily. In 1984, I was 11 years old. Mom comes walking in that same door, hands me over this baby, and says, here's your brother. You now have a baby brother. But now I'm 11. I'm like, I wanted him a little sooner. Now I'm a babysitter. What are we going to do? So we didn't actually become true brothers until he hit the age of 18 and graduated. Finally, we went out and we rode bikes together. We went out on trips and so on and so forth. But there was a time where I actually, Mom and Dad went to Italy and left him with me and my wife. And kind of raised him a little bit. I would take him to school. I signed him to the karate classes and got him his first four-wheeler. It was my opportunity to exercise my fatherhood. And as a matter of fact, when my first daughter was born is when that magically happens, that he becomes my brother and I have a real daughter of my own now. It's amazing how that took place, which was about in 1995 when I became a father for the first time. And so yeah, he was born in 1984, and then after all the trips that we took, like I said, coming from Sicily to upstate New York in a town called Highland Falls, and then to Lancaster, Mount Joy, in a pizza shop called Two Cousins Pizza, which is still there. And that was Giuseppe Monteleone's pizza shop. And then he opened up this one, and he ended up in Biglerville. My father always wanted to go back to his country. He always wanted to go back. It was supposed to be a temporary trip to make a little money, get a house going, and go back. So his first attempt was in 1986. 1986, he packed up the luggages, me and my baby brother and my 2 sisters, and my mom, and he rented this pizza shop out to my cousin. We went back to Sicily. So now here I go again, barely starting to learn the language of English in 4 years, and now only to go back there and now try to learn the Italian. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I didn't really pay much attention here or there. She hired a tutor. We were there for 2 years, 1984 until 1986. And in 1986, unfortunately, the pizza shop was burned down, big time. And Dad had to come back, and we all came back to take over the business once again. I'll continue to tell the story unless you interrupt me with another question. But keep going. So I come back and go back to school here, and I was working here at the restaurant. Started learning the ways of the pizzeria, and my dad never really wanted me to make pizzas. He didn't trust me. He never showed me. He didn't teach me. And so I remember the first pizza I made. He used to close a couple hours on Sunday, because he was open 7 days a week. But on Sunday, he would open at 3. So he just got to sleep in a little bit. And through that hallway into the door was his house. So he never really had left the building. He loved music. He had a passion for music. So he would listen to music. And so one day I come here before him, around maybe 1 o'clock. And I see a customer with these two boys knocking on the door and looking at the door. So I opened up. I recognize him. He says, I know you guys are closed, but can you make me a pizza? And, sure, my friend. Come on in. I had no idea. I never made a pizza in my life.
Yeah, but
Nobody
sure you
told me.
can. Yeah.
I never made it. But I didn't discourage me. Here we go again. Hands-on, I
If you
jump
didn't
in.
think you could, you wouldn't have said sure.
I don't pay attention to consequences. If something feels right, especially, I have everybody's best interest at heart. When I'm talking to someone, I'm already then listening to the same. That's how I
I
would
try to be the same way.
Yeah, that's how I would want to. So, you know, he wants a pizza. He's got the two boys. I'm gonna do whatever I can. So he comes in. I give him the drinks. And I got the dough out. I had an idea of what was going on, but I remember the look.
Thank you, Claudio.
Go get your drink, Harold.
Remember the look on their face when they got their pizza?
No, I remember the look on my dad's face.
Oh.
The look on my face when the pizza came out, might as well say to him Happy Easter, because it was the shape of an egg. But it was a bean and pepperoni pizza, a little bit oval. But when my father came out with this confused look, and the customer sat down and he looked at that pizza and goes, what happened? Who did it? Who made this pizza? And the guy said, Joe made the pizza. It's very good. And I said, really? He was trying to figure out how. I didn't teach him. I never made one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the experience.
That was a moment for you. It was also a moment for your dad.
me, yeah. It was the first pizza I ever made for the customer. And so yeah, through school and helping out here in the pizza shop,
Yeah.
Luca, ask
When I
Daddy
get a
for
plate.
ask Daddy for a plate, so Rob can have some meatballs. So can I have a plate? Thank you. Here's a straw for you.
Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Just on that time constraint, he was working out.
Yeah.
Well, his wife said, I gotta get that home for happy.
Well, makes sense. Makes perfect sense. You know, there's sometimes in situations like this, when you speak to someone, you never met him, and when he comes, sometimes you know you have multiple thoughts about whether, oh, I had no idea that it doesn't make sense, it doesn't match your voice. In this case, I'm here to tell you, his face, his body matches the voice. I'm not surprised. You know?
Yeah.
So I was talking to him a couple of times on the phone, and I'm not like shocked. Look at this guy.
Grazie, Luca. Luca speak Italian?
Luca, un poco, right?
Poco.
Un poco. Papà, un po'. Yeah, look at the expression.
Good
I'm
thing.
starting to learn Spanish.
There you go.
That's good. It's a helpful language.
Buon appetito, guys.
Grazie.
Nice.
My wife speaks Italian.
Take what you can
Go ahead, man.
You want more?
No, I'm good. I got a calzone coming.
You get your forks and knife?
Oh, yeah.
Nice. And
So,
so,
you know, it's kind of like one dog feeding the other dog.
oh man.
But he is a dog.
I can't see that. Okay, good.
Rob loves his dogs, trust me.
And so, we were here in 1986 up until about 1989. Something happened. My father sat down at that last stool over there, and he turns to me and says, Giuseppe, and thank you, sir.
Show boys become more second.
Beautiful. Okay. He says, we have to talk. That never happened before. I'm 17. I said, what do you want to talk about? I don't get this. And he says to me, I'm tired. I want to go back to Karim. I can't take this anymore. Yeah, burned out 7 days a week, of course. And
He's talking to you like a man.
that's right, for the first time. For the first time. He's telling me exactly what he's thinking in that stage and that part in his life. Remember, me and my father were always 20 years apart. And so at 17, it puts him at 37. And so I said, well, what are you suggesting? He goes, well, I think you should go back with me and go serve the military. Because back then it was mandatory. And the way it worked is if you were born in the first quarter of the year, you were assigned to one of the 4 categories, whether it's Army, Marine, Navy, whatever it is. And if you were born in the second quarter, it was something else. He goes, go there, serve your country, do your military, mandatory. And when you get discharged, if you want to come back to America and open up a pizza shop, I'll be by your side and I'll help you. Or you stay, I'll leave, you take over the business. So number 2, I got it. Again, here we go again. We're making the pizza for the first time. I got this.
I got it.
And then he started regretting immediately that he gave me that option. Mom started crying. He said, what are people going to say? Do I look like someone that cares about what people say? The way I dress? I never did. I don't care about people, what they say. I care about what's right for me and what I believe is the right thing to do. That's you're giving me 2 choices. Option B. Well, you're too young. I don't know. So listen, you give it to your cousin, you almost lost the place. If I do, at least I'm your son. What have you got to lose? Go back, enjoy a little bit. If I'm in trouble, I'll call you. Come back and do the same thing you did before. Enjoy, bon appetito. You want to try a chip? Your homemade? Snack.
I'm gonna turn it off. We'll continue back to the place.
Sounds good.
End of part 1.
Sounds good, bro.
Having fun yet, Rob?
We'll continue from the response to my father on the first conversation.
I like this. Remember when I took you to my downstairs? This is something similar I want to do to my downstairs.
They used to have a bar there, and that was in the beginning. And,
Alright, so,
well, welcome home. This has been the home since 01. I believe we just got back from Mama's Pizza, and we had lunch there at my brother's, Claudio Monteleone, and I believe we left off when my father asked me for the first time he wanted to talk to me. And so I decided to choose option B, where I took over the business. And again, no clue as to how I was going to do it. I had no idea what was involved. But he ended up leaving me the pizza shop. In 1993, I officially took over. And he went back home. And I'm glad he did. Didn't know he was going to pass away at 53. So I'm glad I made that choice. Many things that we did when we switched position were, in theory, became my son. When I took over the business, I became a father figure for him. And I remember the one thing in particular, when they were celebrating the 25th anniversary, my wife and I decided to get him a present. And on that day, they were sitting exactly where we were sitting to have lunch. And I asked them, I said, what are you guys going to do today that's your 25th anniversary? My mom, as usual, nothing. I just want my children. We're doing it. We're here. I'm happy. Well, my wife and I went to AAA back then, and we booked them a cruise out of Baltimore. And then we got one of those lawyer suitcases that you open up. We put $2,000 in cash in there and the tickets. And I said, well, you guys better start packing, because tomorrow you're leaving for a cruise out of Baltimore, and here's some cash to spend. No, if you're capable, let it go to waste. Don't worry about it. Don't go. Stay here with your children. That's okay. You never do anything. Don't ever do anything. They went. Of course, they started crying because they didn't know what that meant.
I'm gonna start crying.
Yeah. They didn't know what that meant. 25th anniversary, you're going to be here in a pizza shop again? You're going on a cruise. They went, and it was their first and last cruise. And then later my mom tried to get her on cruises for many years after that. She wouldn't go. I wanted her to take another one. It was with your father. He's no longer here, Mom. We have to carry on. I might not be here, who knows when. I'm asking you, come with me. So finally, this March, she finally came with everybody. So that was another milestone that was achieved.
My dad took our whole family on a cruise for they were married 72 years. So I think it was their 60th anniversary? Let's see. I don't know if it was the 50th or 60th, but he took everybody. My dad took the whole family on a cruise. Only cruise I've ever been on. And, you know, those kinds of family things, you can't replace that stuff.
Priceless.
Yeah.
Priceless.
Yeah.
And once you try for the first time, because again, most people are paranoid because they're afraid of the water, or they think they're not going to enjoy themselves, or they think it's going to be a little fishing boat that's going to rock. It's a city, floating.
Yeah.
There's everything in it. You must experience. Some things has to be experienced. On that note, I'm going to turn you over to a video where we get to watch your experience of being exposed to some of this knowledge that I've acquired over the last 30 years. Instead of hearing it from my mouth, I'm going to introduce you to someone which is the result of 30 years of discovery. All through my years, as I went along to discover many things, I would always attract an individual, someone, a teacher, at the level I was of education at the time. This is the newly acquired attraction that I attracted to myself. One that puts it all together, has it all in one seminar, and you can actually go see him. In this particular one, he's got 5 videos, 1 through 5. The shortest one is 2 hours and a half. I'm going to start it at a certain point here, where we're only going to watch 15 minutes of it. Instead of hearing it from my mouth, what took place as you go apply for a driver's license, as you are born, the other entity is created. I want you to hear it from his mouth. Okay? Everything he knows, I could do the seminar, all 5 of them, of 3 hours each, word for what he speaks. So this is the latest attraction. For example, if I was to teach you about the Federal Reserve, I would refer to you by a guy by the name of Edward Griffin, where he created a book called The Creature of Jekyll Island. He breaks it all down as to who they were, what the Federal Reserve is. It's from Europe, a bunch of guys, it's a printing press. They came in illegally against the Constitution, enacted the Federal Reserve Act on the 24th of December of 1913. And he breaks it all down, all the way to why we were taken off the silver standard. In 1964, there was no longer silver coinages. In 1971, thanks to Nixon, we were taken off the gold standard. So as of then, we have been operating on a fiat currency system, which fiat means created out of thin air. These dollars that was forced upon the world as the global financial system.
Did you say fiat?
Fiat.
Like the car?
Like the car. Means created out of thin air. Okay? So, without further ado, we're going to do this and capture that on video. And I want your expression at the same time on video as you get exposed to this. And you're going to learn what took place to baby Giuseppe Monteleone in 1973, 21st of July, in San Lorenzo di Carini at the hospital from Palermo, Sicily, Italy. All right.
So we're going to watch a video?
I'm going to turn this around.
Okay.
And
you want me to record it?
Record this?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All
I
right.
swear, I've seen this. I've seen it.
Go ahead. Do your thing, Harold.
I'll be right back.
Do your thing, Finney.
Do your thing, brother.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
You know, I was telling Finn, like, anytime you have time, we can also, I did all those
But-
interviews
absolutely.
over Zoom. I
don't
did
know-
50
I don't know-
interviews
I don't
over
know how
Zoom.
to do that, but-
It's easy.
Yeah.
Believe me, if I can do it, you can do
Well,
it.
I have children that can teach me.
Yeah, well, you'll probably be an expert in a week and a half.
But my children can help me out as well.
Yeah.
And another interesting thing, I never read a book up until the age of 33. I was 33. My first book I ever read,
What was it?
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And then my second book was The Master Key System, where it breaks down quantum physics and all that. And those were my first two books that I ever read and comprehended.
Jesus.
Because, again, remember, our knowledge is limited, programmed and conditioned into thinking a certain way. So as I grew up here, I adopted the idea that anytime there was a book to read, since I couldn't really comprehend and my reading wasn't, this is for lawyers.
You
This is
avoided
for-
it, yeah.
I'm just a pizza man.
Yeah.
You grow up on that perception, but nothing could be further.
You
from
grow
the
up
truth.
thinking you're what people think you are.
Exactly, and that needs to change.
Yeah.
And I learned how to change it firsthand. I am the example of that. Without further ado, my friend, I am going to turn it over to David Lester Straight. Like I said, this is just one of the seminars. That's 5 of 3 hours each almost. If you follow him, this is the result of my discovery. If you were to say to me, Giuseppe, adesso, tell me one person I can follow that knows what you know. This is the guy. So it's starting at 30 minutes and 18 seconds of his one of 5 videos, which this one is particularly 2 hours and 25 minutes long. I had to pick a point, so here we go.
What about the title? You don't own a car. You don't own a car. No, you don't. You have a certificate of title. That's what. What about a title? You don't own your car. You don't own a car. No, you don't. You have a certificate of title. You don't own your car either. The state owns it. See, here's the thing. All right, let's tell you a little story. I happen to like Chevy crew cab, long bed, Duramax diesel trucks because I like farming and ranching. Okay? Yeah. If I walk into a Chevy dealership, it's called an automobile dealership, right? It's not called a motor vehicle dealership because it's not a motor vehicle when they sell it to you. It only becomes a motor vehicle when you title, license, and register it. Before that, it's an automobile. It's private. Who was our first car insurance company in the United States? It was called Travelers Insurance. It was designed for travelers. That's what we are. We're travelers. We travel from point A to point B in our private business affairs 99% of the time. Okay? You walk into an automobile dealership, if I laid out $75,000 cash for a brand new crew cab Duramax diesel pickup, you might be 80 by now. At that moment in time, I own that truck. But the minute the salesman looks at me and says, I need another $250 for title, license, and registration, please, and I give him another $250 instead of that stack of $75,000, that's the moment I gifted that pickup to the state. So what I do is I look at them and I say, no, that's not necessary. I'm going to export it to a foreign country. And then when I get in and I turn the key and I drive it off of their lot, I'm driving it out of the state of Oregon into Oregon. I just exported it into a foreign nation. Yeah, manufacturer's statement of origin is in that little envelope that comes with your truck. When you pay the $250, he removes that. He fills it out. He sends it to the state. He sent the state the title. And you get a certificate. A certificate means there's a title out there somewhere. But you don't have it. You don't have it. You don't own these cars.
How does that work if you get pulled over?
If you own your car, they can't do anything to you.
Yeah, but you don't have a license plate.
Wait, by the time we're into this 3-day thing, you're going to be blown away. I'm telling you. Okay? See, The reason I talk so much about driving and automobiles is because that's usually the first place any one of us gets into trouble in our life. We get a ticket or something else. But it's usually associated with driving or operating a motor vehicle by a person, a citizen, or a resident. So what is the legal definition of the word citizen? City is municipal. Zen is servant. A municipal servant. Isn't that what our public servants are? We're calling ourselves the same thing we're calling our public servants. We registered with the Department of Human Resources, with the HR department of the state of, by the way, where's the state of Utah located?
Washington, D.C.
44 Northwest Congress Avenue, Washington, D.C. Okay? It's not even in Utah. Utah is a foreign nation to the state of Utah. What about the city of Riverton? That's a subsidiary of the county of Salt Lake County, which is a subsidiary to the state of Utah. They're all private for-profit entities. Bill Clinton revealed that to everybody. He sold off all of government. Everything is a private for-profit entity. Everything that wasn't already previously sold off, which was most of it to begin with. He sold off what was left. A private for-profit entity. It has a Dun & Bradstreet number. Anybody know what Dun & Bradstreet is? It's a credit reporting agency for corporations, right? So if they've got a Dun & Bradstreet number, that means they're a corporation, right? What does the Supreme Court say? It says, since governments have chosen to incorporate, they must follow the same rules as any other corporation. Well, wait a minute. Can a guy wearing a Walmart shirt, little blue shirt, come into your house, kick your door down, and steal your kids? What would you do? Well, wait a minute. City of Riverton Police is a private for-profit entity, a corporation, with the Dun & Bradstreet number. They're no different than Walmart. They operate through the consent of the government. They have to get your tacit agreement that you're a citizen, a person, or resident. What is the legal definition of the word person? An entity or a vessel? An entity or a vessel. What is the legal definition of the word resident? Someone there temporarily to do business. What's your zip code, Jody?
84069.
By writing that on the letter to your grandmother, by writing your zip code on the letter to your grandmother, you just told the United States Postal Service and one of our courts, post offices. See, I already teased you with that, right? They're banks and post offices. So, by writing this on the letter to your grandmother, you just told the Postal Service, our court system, that you'll inhabit, that you live in Washington, D.C., and that you just reside in Riverton temporarily to do business. So there's 337 million people in the United States who live in Washington, D.C., and about 40,000 state nationals who live in the rest of the states. But you guys just move in temporarily to do business all around us. How do you feel about that? Huh? Yeah, it's the truth.
When you write a letter, I still put brackets around the zip code.
Why do you put brackets around the zip code?
Put it back where it belongs.
No, to remove it from the contract. It's called the boxing rule.
Brackets would be the equivalent of
Four corners. The four corners rule, the boxing rule. Brackets have four corners. 5 years ago, I was made an ambassador for the Voice of Youth program. Voice of Youth was a part of the World Benefit Church. The World Benefit Church was put into place for one reason and one reason only. Not to have a congregation and preach the gospel, but to educate world leaders on God's laws, on what's right and what's wrong. It's the only reason they were put into place. The Voice of Youth program was put into place to be the voice of people who couldn't speak for themselves, our minors. What is the legal definition of the word minor? It's someone under the age of 18, right? We all know that part of it. Or, this part we don't know, someone of any age who hasn't claimed their minor estate. Have you claimed your minor estate? You're a minor. Have you? Have you? Did you even know you had a minor estate? What if I told you you were worth millions of dollars and you didn't even know it? And what if I could prove it to you? And that you have a trust fund, and you're all trust fund babies. And that trust fund is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And so when you signed that mortgage, they borrowed out of your trust fund and paid it off. And then you just keep paying it back. And paying it back. And paying it back. Why is that? 5 years ago, as ambassador of Voice of Youth, I gave a speech at The Hague. And I told our world leaders the story of a mother. And the story of a mother, I was told afterwards from just about everybody that this is the most important story that should be told to every man, woman, and child on earth, but that they don't want me to tell it. You never tell me not to do something that's right, because then I'm going to tell it over and over and over again. Okay? A mother, 9 months pregnant, pay close attention to this, guys. I'm telling you. It's important for your life, your children's lives, your grandchildren's lives, for generations to come. But a mother, 9 months pregnant, walks into a foundling hospital. What is the legal definition of the word foundling? It's a safe place to abandon a child. Did you know all churches, all hospitals, all police stations, and all fire stations in the United States are designated as foundling by Congress? You can take a baby and put it in a basket and walk into any of those 4 locations and set that basket down on the floor and smile and wave and walk out without any consequences to yourself whatsoever. Can you even imagine that? That you can abandon a child? But they designated those places as family hospitals. Did they tell you? On a brass plaque somewhere in an obscure location inside the hospital, probably under a stairwell, it says this hospital is a family hospital. Foundling hospital. So a mother, 9 months pregnant, walks into a family hospital. She goes through a major medical procedure called childbirth, where she's in pain and under duress. She's probably under the influence of painkillers of some type. You gotta be pretty tough to give birth. I wouldn't want to do it. Anyway, she has that beautiful baby, and all she's thinking about is getting home with it and leaving. But see, the baby in history, throughout history, came out of the water, was tugged through the birth canal, was docked at the dock by the dock tender, where a bill of lading was filled out and received on the cargo, where its soul was taken, its soul plates, the footprints of the baby. The placenta was taken. Okay? They took the baby's soul and they sent it out with a tug, and is presumed dead and lost at sea until it should return and claim its minor estate. No physician delivers a baby. Only a doctor does. Doctor is doc tender. The baby is a vessel, a ship. That's where the all caps name comes in. If you look at the names of ships, they're in all capital letters. Okay? No one disclosed the terms and conditions of the contract, yet you were handed a stack of papers to fill out, and you were only told, and this was right out of the nurse's manual, this is just to register your baby with the state and to give it a name. And you fill out the paperwork, and you name your baby, and you sign as an informant. What is the legal definition of the word informant? Someone who gives someone else up to another, thereby giving the title and equity of your child to the state. This creates a doctrine called parens patriae. Guess I should write that. It's Latin for state is your parent. State is the parent. Creates a doctrine of parens patriae. Through this doctrine, that's how they have control over you. And through your consent of being a citizen, a person, a resident. 3 things you never want to be. I hope the chair's not too comfortable. I don't want to see you doing that now. All right, I'll throw something at you. Anyway, the doctrine of parens patriae. So, no terms and conditions of the sales contract were given. No full and honest disclosure of the contract. No 2 wedding signatures. No one there was securities licensed, insurance licensed. No prospectus was given. If you go to your stockbroker and you want to invest in a corporation, he is required by law to give you a prospectus, right? And you weren't given one. What I'm trying to teach you here is it was all done through fraud without any full and honest disclosure of the contract. You were licensed, bonded, insured. Your vessel was created. A sus to QB trust was created. A sus to QB trust is an individual trust underneath the umbrella of the public charitable trust. So the Public Charitable Trust Act of 1882 created the Public Charitable Trust. The Sesta QB Trust Act created the Sesta QB Trust, each individual trust that you all have through your birth certificate and registration. On your birth certificate, there's a bank name. It's on bond paper. There's a CUSIP number, CUSIP number. What is a CUSIP number? It's an investment control number that's regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission. If you were born between 1933 and 1975, you were bonded for $630,000 and insured for $1 million. If you were born after 1975, you were bonded for $1 million and insured for $2 million. Now, wait a minute, that's just the initial investment. It's the initial upfront investment. You were a few days old, right? So like me, I was born on April 20th, on 4/20.
Nice.
I knew there would be one in the crowd. And my vessel was created on 5/3. 2 different dates, 2 different events. My vessel was born on May the 3rd. I was born on April 20th. For that period of time, I was a state national. In fact, I was a Californian. I was born in California. And I was a state national. I was a free, independent, one of we the people for that long. And then I got registered, and I became a citizen, a person, a resident. And I lost all my diplomatic immunity. I lost it all. I became a servant, a slave. See, the 13th Amendment of the Constitution freed the black slaves, and the 14th Amendment of the Constitution made all of us slaves. See, there's a maximum law that says that in which one creates, one controls. God created me, and He controlled me. And then, unknowingly, while under duress, without any full and honest disclosure of the terms and conditions of the contract, with no one even licensed to explain it available, my mother warded me to the state in a birth ward. I became a ward of the state. Why do you think a birthing ward is called a ward? I became a ward of the state, a ward of the court, under the doctrine of parens patriae. I became a slave, and I didn't even know it. I grew up thinking I was free. I fought for this country. I thought I was free. I got shot. I thought I was doing it for the right reasons, so I was free. Now I teach veterans how to get rid of PTSD, and I can do it in 20 minutes. I know guys that have been going to psychologists for years and taking drugs for years trying to get rid of their PTSD, and it destroys their lives and their families and themselves. And I can solve it in 20 minutes. How? I explain a little something that's off track. So would you do me a favor? Remind me to tell you. Okay? It's very important. All right. What happens? What happens at our birth with the SESTA QV? First of all, we have a PCT, Public Charitable Trust, an umbrella. There's 337 million little CQVs, SESTA QV trusts, one for each of us, right? In this country. Every individual in the United States, and in most countries of the world, have a SESTA QV trust. And we have this CQV. And here's what happens, and this is incredibly important. You all know basic accounting? What is that? It's a balance sheet, right? A balance sheet. It's got debits and credits. You guys have been thinking you're the debtor. They keep telling us that, right? We're in debt. We're a debtor. We owe money on credit cards. We owe money on our houses. We owe money on everything. What happens at birth, though, and I'm just going to use the figures
Is this
from
what you've been
75
referring
now,
to at
because
birth?
It's round.
That's what happened in
We were bonded
1973, 21st of July.
for $1 million.
I was just born.
What does that mean? That means the bank went to the International Monetary Fund, and the bank, on behalf of the public, under your CUSIP number, borrowed from the International Monetary Fund $1 million in ones, fives, tens, 20s, 50s, hundreds, and they threw it out there into the general public. They distributed that $1 million to the bank for every person who's born. That's what they do. On the credit side, $1 million worth of United States Treasury bonds are issued, and they're sold. They're hypothecated. They are bundled, and they're sold on the stock exchange. And if we wanted to, I could pull up a website if we had internet access, and I could put in one of your CUSIP numbers, and I could show you the companies that are buying and selling you today. You have more than one CUSIP number, by the way. As we increase in value, I'll just put it that way, as we get better in our life, the more we join the military or get more college degrees, we get more and more CUSIP numbers. You are the credit. You are the creditor. They're making you believe you're also the debtor. And you are. You're both. This is your vessel. This is you. Okay? This is your labor. This is your worth. I got 5 college degrees. Every time I got an advanced degree in college, I got a new CUSIP number. So in the military, I got a new CUSIP number. All these CUSIP numbers are attached to my main birth number. Okay? So this is a bad spot. Anyway, let's stop here. It's a balance sheet, right? It's balanced. It's got $1 million on one side, $1 million on the other. This gets invested. It keeps growing and growing and growing. And let's just say it grows to $100 million. And by the way, that figure's low. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I've seen individuals worth $35 billion or more that didn't know they had a dime. Okay, it keeps growing and growing and growing. Our first 18 years of life, we're not spending anything. So nothing is going over here, our first 18 years. That's growing and growing and growing for 18 years, and it's being hypothecated and traded. And they've done a good job of managing it. They really have. First 18 years, it's growing and growing and growing. You're not spending anything. You're not adding anything to the debit side. Then you go get a job, and you get married, and you go out and you buy a house. I'm just going to use numbers. And the numbers themselves don't matter. It's the concept, okay? You buy a car or two, you buy some utilities or two over your lifetime, some medical bills, some food, whatever. They keep track of it all through your tax returns, your credit card, your bank statements. Banking is all tied into the IMF, the Federal Reserve. We've got big buildings of bean counters called the Department of Fiscal Services, and those accountants just keep track of everything. Everybody's life. And this all starts to add up on the debit side. And this just keeps growing and growing and growing on the investment side. At some point in time you die, and it goes through probate. They take some of this, and let's just say over your lifetime you've spent, I'm going to round it off to $10 million. So they subtract $10 million out of your investment, and they pay off all this, and it becomes a zero balance. They even pay back the initial loan to the International Monetary Fund, plus interest. That was a loan. From a foreign entity, by the way. To the Public Charitable Trust. And they pay it back. The balance is zero. Now this has, let's just say for this discussion, has $90 million left in it. What happens to it? The Sesta Trust lives on in perpetuity forever.
So it keeps going.
Everyone who has ever died since 1933 is currently funding government. This money gets reinvested. They can't take this. But the balance must stay the same forever. But if it keeps earning, they just sweep it off the top. And it funds government. It's called off-book funds. In the states, it's GSA, and in the federal government, it's CQV. And it continues to fund government. Why do you think they don't care if they spend $3 trillion on foreign entities?
Because it's not their money.
It came out of your trusts. It's not part of taxes. In fact, if you took the entire federal budget, how much is derived from taxes and tariffs? If you call up the Department of Fiscal Services and you send a FOIA request, and you ask them, who is the largest contributor to the federal budget? The Department of Justice, to the tune of $1 trillion a day, is taken out of our Sesta trusts or our court systems every day. $1 trillion. That's more in 25 days than our entire gross domestic product in a year. in 25 days. They don't have to disclose the CQV. See, I had to prove this in federal court to get to talk about it. So,
Okay, my friend. I think that is enough of that video. You're welcome to watch that at your time, if you dare, if you wish. It's pretty long. Like I said, just this part here is one of the seminars that he did, and it's 5 of them, and each one is anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 hours long. Now, remind you that in my story, this is the latest, the newest individual that I've attracted to myself to explain in details with dates and undisputed evidence, documentation, you know, of all these events that took place. For example, the Chester QV Trust is the act of 1666, and it was adopted here, as you can see, in 1862, whatever, and it wasn't put in application until 1933. Then you can learn the truth about Abraham Lincoln, how he was the first attorney, Bar Association. They'll explain to you how we're at war with the Bar Association. That's their enemy. That's who controls the world.
Well, I'm gonna probably have to wrap it up, but
Sure.
before I do, tell me the relevance of this to my life.
Not to yours, this is to mine.
Oh, well,
This is my story.
Isn't it to everybody's?
It should be, but not necessarily is it an interest to everybody. You see,
Okay.
this is my story. My story.
Okay.
As he was explaining about the story of a mother, I introduced you to my mother.
Yeah.
Now you have a visual of who went to the hospital
Right.
and what came out of her
Yeah.
in a physical form. But what really took place is this. That what was happening, and nobody knows about it.
So it sounds
I don't
like
know.
a giant case of fraud and theft.
Absolutely. That's been going on forever, which he explains the definition of the word forever is until the end of earth. And then we go into
As opposed to a
eternity. No, then we have eternity after forever. But see, he defines words. He doesn't define them all. I have a couple which I can't wait to meet him because I have not yet heard him, which he should, incorporate the definition of a few words. I explained them to Harold the other day, a few of them, such as the word of government. Okay, for example, everybody hears the word government, right? And if I ask you, what is government? You should respond by saying something in the sort of, well, Giuseppe, you know, the government is created by the local, state, and federal level. And we have a body of the legislature, the judicial, you know, and then if you want,
And the executive.
You want to be, yeah, the executive. If you want to personalize it as the personas, we have the sheriffs, and we got the ultimate one, which is the president, and we got the governors, and we have the code enforcement officer. And I'm here to tell you, and I've asked professors, I've asked my teachers, I've never came across someone that could actually define the word. This is simplicity. What helped me a lot is that I'm from Italy. I speak Italian, which the foundation of that language is Latin. And so when you break it down, the word governamento, government, even in English, you see that from the Latin language, to govern, governare means to control. And what are you controlling? Ment. What does ment mean? Mente.
The mind.
Mind. The word literally translates as mind control, the control of the mind. Once you have the definition of the word, and now you finally know the truth about what word we've been tossing around our whole life, all through our scholastic and university and PhD, Harvard graduates, so they don't know what it means. But I'm here to say, I am my own government, which means I control my own mind. I'm not saying, yeah, I control my own mind, based on that truth of what the word actually means. After all, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Which brings me to, I believe that applies to God's law, and not man's law. Just Title 75 of the Pennsylvania Vehicle Code has over 6,000 laws, so to speak. That's man's law. I'm implying, in regards to like the law of the universe, such as the law of gravity. for ignorance of that law is no excuse. If you're fat, skinny, ugly, pretty, rich or poor, you fall off that building. That applies to you. Ignorance of that law is no excuse. You're going to hit the ground. That's the law I pay attention to. The law of attraction, the law of the universe, the law what you do to others comes back to you multiplied. No one escapes that.
No.
It's
Now you're getting into my area of interest.
It's all connected, brother. It's all connected.
So, and I'm sorry I gotta go, but
No,
I
no, I
gotta go. But
understand.
we're gonna continue this.
Absolutely.
But so the question that I've been fixating on my whole life, because most of my work, if I had to give it a niche, it would be, I've worked with a lot of people with disabilities
Yes.
because they impress me, because by and large they've all overcome serious obstacles and persevered. And most of the people I've worked with, including a kid who lost all 4 limbs when he was 4 years old, and I go to lunch with him. Another kid in a wheelchair who's a great music producer. He's left us now. But virtually every one of them at some point has told me how good life is.
Absolutely.
And these are people who you would think have every reason to be miserable and angry and resentful. But they tell me life is good. So the fringe benefit of that for me is that I don't spend this much time feeling sorry for myself, because I've seen people
Yeah, that
who
works.
have dealt with so much more and appreciate what they have instead of lamenting what they don't have.
Absolutely.
So my question has always been, how do I get people who have everything to be grateful for to be grateful? When I've seen people who have seemingly nothing to be grateful for and are grateful. So I've always wanted to know how to make people who are by and large so miserable realize they have everything to appreciate and be grateful for, and they should live a kinder, better life. I've never gotten an answer, ever. And I went on a job interview for a school. They were looking for a, media teacher. It was a Catholic school. So I interviewed with 2 nuns for like an hour and a half. And they offered me the job, and we had a great discussion. But in the end, they asked me, do you have any questions for us? And I know they were thinking I would say like, how much vacation time, when am I going to get paid, blah, blah, blah. I asked them that question. How do I make people who have every reason to be grateful, instead of being miserable? They couldn't give me an answer. They said that's human nature. And that's when I knew I wasn't taking the job.
Would you like to ask me that question?
Yes.
Okay. So, to answer that question, to the best of my capability, it is none of our job to change anyone whatsoever other than yourself. That is the only option you have, my friend. Otherwise, I would be already on top of the changing people. My own mother, I can't change her for anything at all, whatsoever. But I was able to change the way I used to think. Now you might say, well, what's the result of that, Giuseppe, or whatever you want to call it? What does it mean to know all this by heart? What does it mean? Well, at least I know the truth. Now I know what happens when the officer pulls me over and I give him that driver's license with all capital letter. It's a vessel. It's not me. That's the one that's worth hundreds of billions of dollars in my account. I know. Yet, in my reality, you look at my checking account. Here it is. Let me refresh my memory. Okay. It says $10 on it. That's the balance. There's $10 on this personal account. Okay, fine. But the Chester QV Trust, all capital letter Giuseppe Monteleone, I guarantee you I'm the one he's talking about. Not 35 billion, but at least 3.5 billion. I know it because I once had so many apartments. I had so many buildings until it was revealed to me that none of them were yours. Not whatsoever. They're all on that capital letter guy. It's not me. Now, he has trucks and cars in his possession that were paid for with a quarter. That's silver. Okay? That's his. I haven't done that. I don't really care about doing that. I'm grateful for what I have and what I've learned. See, I'm stuck in a situation here that the only thing I can come up with is the opportunity we gotta make a movie here. We gotta do at least a book, something. This is a unique story. I recognize it. I know it. I am the witness to this transformation. I have acquired the knowledge. I'm here to challenge anyone in this world to prove me wrong on anything. And because I've been there, done that, interviewed, got the documentation, and now today, thanks to this temporary technology, I can go to a video and show you. And then there's books and decades and centuries that backs up that, that's the thing.
Well, other than, knowing the truth, that's good because you're a truth seeker.
Sure.
I'm not as much a truth seeker as a spirit seeker. So when you say it's not our job to change people, I have a little problem with that.
Well,
Because-
it's our job. In other words, you can try. It's like that saying, you can take the horse to the water. You can't force them to drink.
No, but what I've been doing is showing people, as Finn just said, that if they look around, they'll see like 9 million people who are much, much worse off than they are. So maybe they should be a little happier about their life.
Absolutely.
That's what I want to do.
And I agree.
I want people to be happier about their life so they're nicer to everybody else.
I agree. And I do this on a daily basis.
I believe you.
Every day when I go, for example, to 7-Eleven and I see that lady ringing me up,
Look.
she's complaining that it's raining, she's complaining. And then I have a couple questions to her. I said, let me ask you a question, sweetheart. Can you see me right now? What kind of question? Of course I can see you. Give me $29.99 for whatever you want. Did you just hear what I just asked you? Because yeah, so you have the ears to hear and you're actually seeing me? You know how many people wake up every morning that can't see?
So why do you say that it's not your job to change people?
It's not.
You just
It's
did.
not my job. For example, I can't change you.
But you just did.
No, I planted a seed to make them realize what they were overlooking while complaining. Yes. But I can't go there and say, ma'am, instead of wasting your time, you should watch David Lester Straight and actually pay your house off with a quarter. You should throw away that license. You should take advantage of your minor estate and get your Chesterfield Trust, because each one of us is worth millions and millions of dollars. Why are you on welfare? Why did you get depressed and go?
Yeah, no.
That's not my job.
I understand.
I can't do that.
But I think it is your job to spread.
I'm doing it. And that's what my intention is.
Okay, so that is your job.
My message, it's my job. I don't know if it's my job. It's what I desire.
Right. Well,
It's
you
what I
said
would-
job. I don't think it's a job
It's what I would
either.
want. If you come here and say, Odessa, I noticed something. I want to bring this to your attention. You don't know how much I appreciate that, because I wasn't aware of that thing. I believe I should do that because that's what I would want. After all, aren't we here to love your neighbor as yourself?
I think so.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. I believe I'm a neighbor to the whole world. There's no discrimination of any kind.
I
don't
agree
care
completely.
What color, what race. I've learned things that normally, just as it's strange to believe that I'm an 8th grade dropout from Sicily, it should be strange to believe that a professor has never heard of this. To most people, but it's not strange to me, because I saw it. I went through this. I am the witness. Yes, this is not your everyday information.
Clearly not.
I kind of.
We're gonna need more time for you for you to make it meaningful to me.
Yes.
But I dispute your initial statement that it's not your job to change people. And I don't want to change people. I just might want to change the way they look at their life.
What I'm saying is you can try all you want, my friend, but it doesn't mean that it's our job. In other words, what I'm trying to say is another way. My favorite of all time comedian was George Carlin.
There
There you go.
was a brilliant guy.
Now, George Carlin, of course, there's no introduction.
I'm shutting this down. We're just gonna
You
talk.
sure you don't want to see this last part of the George
All right,
Carlin?
let's talk about George Carlin.
Because this goes along with this.
Yeah.
George Carlin grew up telling the truth about every subject.
Oh.
Religion, politics, you
I
name it.
watch him every chance I
There
get.
was no holds barred. He let it all out.
No filter.
But most people were laughing, thinking, can you imagine that's what he's talking about? He was telling you straight up the truth.
Oh,
just
yeah.
like the movie The Matrix that I recommended. And so after a certain point, when he was older, he was in one of the late night shows. I believe it was Letterman or perhaps Jay. I don't know. And these guys know what message George Carlin was actually doing. he was informing people, but not everybody had the ears to hear or the eyes to see his message. And so he asked him, he says, George, what, you made a career out of informing people while making them laugh. It was entertaining. What does it all mean? Now that you know all of this stuff, what does it mean? What can you do for people? Just like you're saying, how can I help them? I said, my job. He said, nothing. You got to be a spectator. Learn to be a spectator. You can't change no one. He who wants to be changed will discover. That's his journey. He doesn't need any recommendation. He'll do it automatically. Some people, you can't. Because I believe that when you're born in this world, you're given a ticket to the freak show. If you happen to be in America, you have front row seat. And then that was the last words that he said. And he passed away the same day my dad passes away. Here is another coincidence of dates. What's going on here? This is my favorite #1 comedian. Same day as my father. Same year, 2008.
Social comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what he said. He goes, just be a spectator. And I've adopted that. I'm a spectator. I watch it all unfold as I watch the news, what they're trying to, I know what they're doing. Through the pandemic, that's a whole book in itself if you want to know the truth about that. The vaccines and the corona and this and that. Spectator. I watched relatives take the shot. I watched relatives not take it. I watched relatives put the mask on. I watched someone put plexiglass all over their pizza shop, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
As a spectator, you just watch it all unfold. And that's all I can do. Now, I led by example. That's Jim Neely. I haven't talked to him in a while.
Harry,
just called today. And so, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're probably talking about the same thing as far as whether it's our job or not to change people. We can try, but we will not succeed. And it's okay. You shouldn't feel, you can't change them. Some people are stuck on what they think they know, and they will live out their life based on that limited knowledge that they acquired the first 9 years of their life. That's what happens. In this case, you're witnessing to one that pretty much dismissed and reprogrammed his mind of most of the knowledge that he acquired the first 9 years, and continues every day as he wakes up and realizes he has another day here in this roller coaster ride we call life. Interesting noises.
the ringer.
Yeah. And continues to learn every day, new things. For example, I want to leave, since you're getting ready to shut off. Since I know the pizza shop business, and that's the one that I grew up in, what happened and made it different is that from 1993 to 2008, when I gave it to my brother, I actually was able to acquire 20 rentals and 7 pizza shops altogether, each at its own time. Not to mention I had a buy, sell, and trade place across the street, and then it became a construction material, and then I was in the gold and silver, and I used to get into the coins and all that. I did it all. Like the entrepreneurship that started with that bicycle at 6 years old.
Yeah.
It went on to that in the same amount of time. In the 10 years that my dad had, I had 10 years as well. But that's what I did, and I did not stop until my brother had his pizza shop, my sister had hers, and my other sister had hers. Another interesting story brings me to when we went to Mount Joy in Lancaster. My brother wasn't born yet. Up the road was a furniture store. And remember, I was probably about 7 years old. I would go up there, and they used to have these boxes for refrigerators and stoves, and they leave them whole there. I guess they didn't recycle back then, I don't know. So I would take them, and I would bring them in the backyard, and for my sisters, I would use the washer and dryer, and make houses for them with windows. And mine was a refrigerator. I was a little taller. And I didn't put it together until years later, how that was so real to me. I was the protector of my sisters, make sure they had their own real estate. and we would get our snacks and go down, and they would be facing me like a triangle. Here's my house, here's their house, and then if it rains, we close it, and it was wonderful. And I realized, and it occurred to me that I didn't stop until it became a reality. Next door is my sister's house. Catty corner is Claudia's house. And my sister Maria has one in Fayetteville. I did not stop until it became a real house. I was the one who made sure they got that and got their house built, and I did that. But it is amazing as you go back, and then you realize that what was a childhood thing became a reality.
Yeah.
It's all together. You see what I mean? But one thing we go to another. I can speak forever, my friend.
Well, we're going to get more time to speak.
Well, we'll
I gotta-
stop it here.
I want to digest.